What does it mean to lead? Is it about power, control, influence? No, spiritual leadership is about transformation. It's about igniting a fire within yourself so bright that it lights the path for others. Every great leader throughout history, those who truly changed the world, didn't just manage people, they awakened souls. They didn't just set goals, they created a movement. So today I ask you, are you ready to step up, to break the chains of limitation, to lead with purpose? True leadership begins within. Before you can inspire, guide, or uplift anyone else, you must first master yourself. Leadership is not about titles, authority, or the number of people who follow you. It is about the depth of your own self-awareness, the strength of your inner foundation, and the clarity of your personal mission. The greatest leaders in history didn't wait for external validation to lead. They cultivated a force within themselves so powerful that others naturally gravitated toward their vision. At the core of leadership is self-mastery. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot inspire confidence in others if you are drowning in self-doubt. You cannot create change in the world if you are a prisoner of your own fears. The first battle every leader must win is the one within their own mind. That means confronting limiting beliefs, silencing negative self-talk, and taking full ownership of thoughts, emotions, and actions. The world does not shape leaders, leaders shape themselves from the inside out. A true leader understands that leadership is not about controlling people, but about leading by example. Influence is not demanded. It is earned through consistency, authenticity, and unwavering integrity. People follow those who embody strength and certainty, not those who merely preach it. This is why internal discipline is the foundation of leadership. Every great leader follows a strict regimen of personal growth. Whether it's mastering their emotions, sharpening their intellect, or conditioning their body for peak performance. They do not allow external circumstances to dictate their mood, decisions, or vision. Instead, they cultivate an unshakable core, a center of gravity so strong that it withstands the chaos of the world. Self-awareness is another critical piece of inner leadership. A person who is not in touch with their own values, desires, and weaknesses will always be swayed by external forces. Leaders do not move with the wind, they set the course. But to do that, they must know exactly who they are. They must be brutally honest with themselves, understanding their strengths, acknowledging their flaws, and continuously working toward growth. This level of introspection requires humility. It demands that a leader drop their ego, listen more than they speak, and remain open to learning at every stage of life. Emotional mastery separates true leaders from the rest. Anyone can be confident when things are going well, but what happens when adversity strikes? What happens when plans fail, when people betray, when pressure mounts? This is where weak leaders crumble and great leaders rise. A leader who is ruled by their emotions, whether it's anger, frustration, or fear, will never command respect. But a leader who can remain calm, focused, and solution-oriented in the face of challenges becomes unshakable. They do not react impulsively, they respond with wisdom. They do not allow emotions to dictate their actions. They use emotions as fuel for greater clarity and action. Clarity of purpose is what gives leaders their strength. Without a clear vision, a person is simply drifting through life, reacting to whatever comes their way. But a leader with a deep sense of purpose moves with intention. They know what they stand for. They know why they wake up every morning. They do not seek motivation, they create it through the fire of their mission. This kind of clarity doesn't come from the outside, it is forged from within, through deep reflection and an unwavering commitment to something greater than oneself. Courage is the final test of inner leadership. It is easy to dream big, to set goals, to talk about change. But when the moment of truth arrives, when it's time to step forward despite fear, to make difficult decisions, to take responsibility when things go wrong, that is when true leadership is revealed. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to be controlled by it. It is choosing action over hesitation, faith over doubt, and progress over comfort. Leadership begins within, because no one will believe in you until you believe in yourself. No one will follow you until you have walked the path yourself. The impact you create in the world is simply a reflection of the depth of work you have done within. The power of purpose is the driving force behind every extraordinary achievement in history. It is what separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. Purpose is more than just an idea or a goal. It is the fuel that ignites the soul, the force that compels action even in the face of overwhelming obstacles. Without purpose, people drift through life, reacting to circumstances instead of creating their own destiny. With purpose, every action becomes intentional, every decision becomes powerful, and every setback becomes fuel for something greater. A person without purpose wakes up each day with no real direction. They go through the motions, following routines, meeting obligations, and waiting for something external to spark motivation. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind, unreliable and inconsistent. Purpose, on the other hand, is permanent. It is the internal compass that keeps a person moving forward no matter how difficult the journey becomes. It is the reason why some people keep pushing when everything around them says to quit. It is why leaders, visionaries, and changemakers refuse to settle for mediocrity. They are driven by something far greater than personal comfort or temporary pleasure. Purpose gives meaning to struggle. Challenges are inevitable. Pain is unavoidable. There will be moments when everything seems to be falling apart, when the weight of responsibility feels unbearable, when failure seems like the only outcome. But a person with a strong purpose does not break under pressure, they transform through it. They understand that every hardship, every setback, and every moment of doubt is part of the journey. They do not see obstacles as roadblocks. They see them as tests, as opportunities to grow stronger, to sharpen their skills, to refine their vision. Purpose turns pain into power, fear into courage, and struggle into strength. Clarity of purpose creates unstoppable momentum. When a person knows exactly why they are doing what they are doing, hesitation disappears. Indecision fades. Procrastination is no longer an option. There is no need to rely on external motivation because the fire is already burning from within. Every great leader, every revolutionary thinker, every person who has ever made a lasting impact on the world had one thing in common. They were relentlessly committed to their purpose. They did not wait for perfect conditions. They did not seek approval. They did not allow doubt to creep in and steal their momentum. They moved forward with absolute certainty, knowing that their purpose was bigger than their fears. A strong purpose creates resilience. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances change. People disappoint. Plans fail. Without purpose, these moments of uncertainty and failure can be paralyzing. But with purpose, they become insignificant. When a person is deeply connected to their purpose, no temporary setback can shake them. They do not see failure as a reason to stop, they see it as a reason to keep going. They are not dependent on immediate results because they are playing a bigger game. A game that is about impact, about legacy, about something that transcends short-term struggles. Purpose attracts the right people. A person with a clear and powerful purpose does not need to beg for support, to convince others to believe in their vision, or to seek validation from the outside world. When someone is truly aligned with their purpose, they radiate confidence, passion, and certainty. This energy is magnetic. It draws in the right opportunities, the right relationships, the right resources. People naturally want to be around someone who is fully alive, fully engaged, fully committed to something meaningful. This is how great movements are born. One person, fully aligned with their purpose, inspires others to find their own. Finding purpose is not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It is about looking within, asking the hard questions, and being willing to listen to the answers. It is about stripping away distractions, fears, and limiting beliefs to uncover what truly matters. It is about making a decision to stop playing small, to stop settling, to stop waiting for permission. Because purpose is not given, it is created. It is forged in the moments of struggle, in the moments of deep reflection, in the moments when a person decides that they are meant for something greater. And once that decision is made, there is no turning back. Faith over fear is the defining factor between those who rise and those who retreat. It is the invisible force that separates leaders from followers, visionaries from doubters, and action takers from excuse makers. Every great achievement, every life-changing breakthrough, every monumental success was built on faith. Not blind faith, not wishful thinking, but the kind of faith that fuels relentless action. The kind of faith that stands firm even when everything seems impossible. Fear, on the other hand, is the great paralyzer. It whispers doubts, magnifies risks, and keeps people trapped in the same cycles of hesitation and regret. The battle between faith and fear is one that every person must face, and the outcome of that battle determines the trajectory of their life. Fear is an illusion, a liar that masquerades as logic. It tells a person that they are not ready, that they are not good enough, that failure is inevitable. It creates imaginary roadblocks, convincing people that they must wait for the perfect moment, for the right circumstances, for more certainty, before they take the first step. But the truth is, fear is never based on reality, it is based on speculation. It is the mind projecting worst-case scenarios, building walls that do not exist. It is an emotional response designed to keep people safe, but in doing so, it also keeps them small. Fear does not care about growth, it does not care about dreams, potential, or purpose. It only cares about one thing: control. The moment a person gives into fear, they surrender their power. They trade possibility for comfort. They sacrifice their future for the illusion of security. Faith is the antidote to fear. It is the decision to move forward even when the path is unclear. It is the inner knowing that even if the outcome is uncertain, even if the risks are real, there is something greater at work. Faith is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to be controlled by it. It is the unwavering belief that no matter how difficult the road may be, there is a way through. People who operate with faith do not wait for guarantees. They do not seek permission. They do not let doubt dictate their destiny. They step forward with confidence, knowing that clarity comes through action, not hesitation. Every breakthrough in history was built on faith. The pioneers who ventured into unknown lands had faith. The inventors who changed the world had faith. The leaders who inspired revolutions, the entrepreneurs who defied the odds, the artists who created masterpieces, all of them had to silence fear and choose faith. They faced criticism, they encountered failure, they were surrounded by people who told them it was impossible. But they kept moving because something inside them was stronger than the fear around them. That something was faith. Faith in their vision, faith in their ability, faith that even when the odds were stacked against them, they would find a way. Fear shrinks people. It keeps them in the same job they hate, the same toxic relationships, the same repetitive patterns of mediocrity. It convinces them that it is safer to settle than to risk failure. But what fear does not tell them is that staying the same is the greatest risk of all. Every day that passes without action is a day lost. Every opportunity not taken is a future never realized. The cost of fear is not just lost dreams, it is a life never fully lived. Faith expands people. It pushes them beyond their limits. It forces them to grow, to adapt, to become stronger than they ever thought possible. Faith is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. It is what turns failures into stepping stones, obstacles into opportunities, and fear into fuel. When a person chooses faith over fear, they reclaim their power. They take back control of their life, their decisions, their future. They no longer operate from a place of scarcity or hesitation. They move boldly, knowing that they are capable of more than they ever imagined. The decision between faith and fear is a daily one. It is not a one-time choice, but a constant commitment to rise above doubt and step into courage. Fear will always be present. It will always try to creep in, to pull people back, to keep them small. But faith is stronger. Faith is the force that moves mountains, that transforms lives, And the moment a person truly embraces it, the moment they choose faith over fear, everything begins to change. Serving others is the highest calling because true leadership, real success, and lasting fulfillment are not found in personal gain, but in the impact one has on others. The world teaches that power comes from status, influence, or wealth, but history proves otherwise. The greatest leaders, the ones who shaped history, the ones whose legacies live on, were not those who hoarded power, but those who gave of themselves in service. Service is not weakness. It is not submission. It is the highest form of strength. It takes an unshakable foundation to rise above self-interest, to put others before oneself, and to recognize that true fulfillment comes not from what is received, but from what is given. The human spirit is wired for contribution, No matter how much a person achieves, how much wealth they accumulate, or how much recognition they receive, there will always be an emptiness if their life is only about themselves. The most successful individuals, the ones who reach the peak of their industry, often find that when they arrive, they are still unfulfilled. That is because external rewards alone can never satisfy an internal need. People are not meant to live only for themselves. They are meant to lift others, to contribute to something greater, to leave a mark that outlives them. Service is the foundation of true leadership. Leadership is not about commanding people, it is about empowering them. A true leader does not use others to advance their own agenda, but instead creates opportunities for others to rise. The most influential leaders in history did not demand loyalty, they inspired it by putting the needs of their people first. They did not seek validation, they created impact. This is why the best leaders are not those who chase power, but those who understand that power is simply a tool to create positive change. Leadership is not a position, it is an act of service. Serving others does not mean sacrificing oneself. It is not about neglecting personal needs or letting others take advantage. True service is about elevating people while also growing oneself. It is about finding strength in contribution, knowing that the more value a person brings to the world, the more they grow in return. A person who commits to service does not become weaker. They become stronger, more fulfilled, more connected to their purpose. The greatest rewards in life, joy, fulfillment, inner peace, do not come from selfish pursuits. They come from knowing that one's existence has made a difference. Service creates impact beyond what can be measured. Money can be spent, fame can fade, but the lives touched, the hearts uplifted, and the people empowered will continue to ripple through generations. A single act of kindness, a single moment of support, a single decision to put someone else's needs before one's own can change the course of a life. This is what separates those who simply exist from those who leave a legacy. The world does not remember those who took the most, it remembers those who gave the most. Those who dedicate themselves to serving others live with a deeper sense of meaning. They do not wake up dreading the day ahead because they know they are part of something greater than themselves. They are not trapped in the endless pursuit of temporary satisfaction because they have found something more lasting. Their energy is not drained by the need to constantly chase approval or recognition because their fulfillment comes from within. They do not fear competition because they are not in a race against anyone else. They are focused on lifting those around them. The greatest rewards in life come from contribution. It is the reason why the most fulfilled individuals are not always the wealthiest or the most famous, but the ones who have dedicated themselves to a cause beyond themselves. The act of giving, whether it is time, knowledge, resources, or support, creates a kind of success that cannot be measured in numbers but can be felt in the depth of a person's soul. Service is not a sacrifice, it is the ultimate path to greatness. Those who commit to it do not just change the lives of others, they transform their own in the process. Energy is contagious. It is an invisible force that influences everything, shaping interactions, decisions, and even the trajectory of a person's life. Walk into a room where people are energized, passionate, and driven, and you will feel it instantly. The air is charged with excitement and motivation spreads effortlessly. But step into an environment filled with negativity, doubt, and hesitation, and it will drain you before a single word is spoken. Energy is not just personal. It radiates, it spreads, and it impacts everyone it touches. It has the power to inspire or to destroy, to elevate or to suffocate. And the most successful people in the world, the ones who lead, influence, and create real change, understand one fundamental truth. The energy they bring determines everything. Every interaction is an exchange of energy. The moment two people meet, there is an unspoken transfer happening. Some individuals lift the room when they walk in, while others pull it down without saying a word. It is not about words alone, it is about presence. It is about what is felt beneath the surface, the energy that cannot be faked or hidden. People are drawn to those who exude confidence, enthusiasm, and certainty. They naturally gravitate toward those who radiate strength and passion. This is why some leaders inspire unwavering loyalty, while others struggle to gain influence. It is not about status or authority, it is about the energy they bring. The most powerful leaders and high achievers are intentional about their energy. They do not wait for the world to dictate how they feel. They take control. They condition their state of mind and body to operate at peak performance. They know that energy is not just emotional, it is physiological. The way a person moves, breathes, speaks, and thinks all contribute to the energy they project. Slumped shoulders, shallow breathing, and hesitant speech patterns signal weakness and doubt. But someone who stands tall, breathes deeply, speaks with conviction, and moves with purpose commands attention before they even say a word. Energy is not just felt, it is seen. Negativity is just as contagious as positivity. Spend enough time around people who complain, doubt, and hesitate, and their energy will start pulling you down. It happens slowly, subtly, until one day the same excuses, the same fears, the same limitations become part of your mindset. This is why environment matters. Who a person surrounds themselves with, the conversations they engage in, the content they consume, all of it feeds into their energy. Successful people do not just guard their time, they guard their energy. They protect it like their most valuable asset, because they understand that energy dictates action, and action dictates results. Energy does not just influence relationships and leadership, it determines performance. In sports, in business, in any high-stakes environment, the person with the strongest energy dominates. Skill and strategy matter, but they mean nothing if a person lacks the energy to execute. The best competitors in the world do not win because they are the most talented. They win because they refuse to be outperformed in energy and intensity. They bring everything they have every single time, and that energy wears down opponents before the game is even over. Energy attracts opportunity. People want to work with those who are fully engaged, excited, and hungry for growth. They want to follow leaders who bring certainty, passion, and drive. The world rewards those who show up every day with an energy that commands attention. It is why some people seem to attract success effortlessly, while others struggle. It is not luck. It is not chance. It is energy. And the moment a person fully understands this, the moment they take control of the energy they bring, everything in their life begins to change. Overcoming adversity builds strength. It forges character, sharpens resilience, and transforms ordinary individuals into unstoppable forces. Adversity is not something to be feared, it is something to be embraced. It is the test that separates those who merely dream from those who rise and conquer. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has faced obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, luck, or intelligence. It is the ability to push through hardship, to keep moving forward when everything inside screams to quit. Adversity is life's way of asking, how bad do you want it? Most people fold under pressure. They see struggle as a sign to stop, as proof that they are not meant for something greater. But those who understand the power of adversity see it differently. They recognize that every challenge is an opportunity to grow, every setback is a lesson, and every moment of pain is fuel for something greater. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who have had an easy path. They are the ones who have been knocked down, broken, and beaten, but refuse to stay down. Pain is a teacher. It exposes weaknesses, tests patience, and forces growth. A person who has never faced struggle will always be fragile, easily shaken, and quick to give up at the first sign of difficulty. But someone who has battled through hardships, who has been pushed beyond their limits, who has walked through fire and emerged on the other side, they are unbreakable. They have seen their worst days and kept moving. They have felt fear and acted anyway. They have learned that strength is not given, it is earned through perseverance. Adversity builds mental toughness. When things are easy, when there are no challenges, when everything goes according to plan, there is no reason to grow. But when obstacles arise, when failure hits, when nothing seems to be working, that is when real strength is developed. Every time a person pushes through adversity, they expand their capacity to handle pressure. They develop the ability to stay calm in chaos, to make decisions under stress, to adapt to any situation. Mental toughness is the foundation of success because the world does not reward those who quit at the first sign of struggle. It rewards those who keep fighting no matter what. Adversity exposes character. It reveals who a person truly is when things are not going their way. Anyone can be confident when life is smooth, when results are coming in, when success seems inevitable. But what happens when plans fall apart? What happens when failure hits again and again? That is when a person's true nature is revealed. Weak-minded individuals crumble. They make excuses, blame others, and retreat into comfort. But those who are built for greatness rise. They take responsibility, they find solutions, they refuse to let circumstances define them. Growth comes from struggle. Muscles grow when they are torn and rebuilt stronger. The mind sharpens when it is challenged beyond its comfort zone. The spirit strengthens when it has been tested and refuses to break. Every successful person has a story of struggle. Every champion, every leader, every innovator has faced moments where quitting seemed like the easiest option. But they chose to persist. They chose to endure. They chose to use adversity as a stepping stone rather than a stopping point. Adversity is not an obstacle, it is an opportunity. It is a chance to develop grit, to cultivate resilience, to prove to oneself that nothing is impossible. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who had the easiest path. They are the ones who turn their struggles into strength, the ones who refuse to let setbacks define them. The ones who understood that every difficulty, every hardship, every failure was not there to break them, but to build them into something unstoppable. Discipline and daily rituals create leaders, not talent, not luck, not intelligence. It is the ability to show up day in and day out, regardless of circumstances, that separates those who lead from those who follow. The most powerful individuals in the world, the ones who have built empires, transformed industries, and shaped history, all have one thing in common. They mastered themselves before they ever mastered their craft. Leadership is not about authority, it is about consistency. It is about doing what needs to be done, not when it is convenient, not when motivation strikes, but every single day without fail. Discipline is the foundation of greatness. It is the ability to act in alignment with a vision, even when the mood to do so is gone. Most people operate on feelings. They wake up and decide how their day will go based on how they feel. If they are motivated, they work hard. If they are tired, they take it easy. If they face resistance, they stop. Leaders do not operate this way. Leaders move forward no matter what. They do not negotiate with their emotions. They do not let distractions dictate their actions. They do not wait for the perfect moment. They create it through consistent, disciplined effort. Daily rituals are the building blocks of transformation. They are not just habits, they are systems designed to produce extraordinary results over time. The human brain craves efficiency, and the most successful individuals understand that success is not about making the right decision once, it is about creating a structure that ensures the right decisions are made every single day. This is why leaders have strict routines. They wake up early, they exercise, they feed their minds with powerful information, they review their goals, they eliminate distractions, they set themselves up for success before the world has a chance to throw them off course. The average person underestimates the power of small, consistent actions. They look for quick fixes, overnight success, and shortcuts. But real success is never built that way. It is built in the unseen moments, the early mornings, the late nights, the extra effort when no one is watching. A person does not become great by doing something once in a while. They become great by showing up day after day until excellence is no longer a choice but a habit. Discipline creates freedom. The world teaches that freedom comes from doing whatever one wants whenever they want. But true freedom, the freedom to create an extraordinary life, to achieve dreams, to leave a lasting legacy, comes from discipline. The person who lacks discipline is a slave to their impulses, constantly at the mercy of distractions, procrastination, and inconsistency. But the person who masters discipline has control. They dictate their future, they decide their outcomes, they are not ruled by circumstances, they shape circumstances in their favor. Rituals eliminate decision fatigue. Every day people waste energy deciding what to do, whether to work out, whether to focus, whether to take action. Leaders do not waste time on these decisions because their rituals are already set. There is no debate, there is no hesitation. They know what needs to be done and they do it automatically. This is what separates the elite from the average. While most people are caught in cycles of inconsistency, leaders are executing with precision and purpose. Discipline and daily rituals are what make someone unstoppable. They remove luck from the equation, they remove excuses, they ensure that progress happens no matter what. Leaders do not rely on motivation because they understand that motivation is fleeting. They rely on systems. They rely on the habits they have built, the discipline they have cultivated, and the rituals that set them up for success. This is why they rise while others remain stuck. This is why they achieve results that seem impossible to the outside world. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is the relentless, disciplined execution of the right actions, repeated over and over again until greatness is inevitable. Lead with love, not ego. Real leadership is not about power, status, or control. It is about impact. It is about lifting others, not elevating oneself. The strongest leaders, the ones who inspire true loyalty and lasting change, do not lead from a place of pride or self-importance. They lead from a place of service, compassion, and purpose. The world is filled with leaders who operate from ego, who demand respect instead of earning it, who seek recognition instead of results. But those leaders never last. Their influence is built on fear, manipulation, and temporary authority. The ones who leave a true legacy, the ones who build teams, organizations, and movements that stand the test of time, are the ones who lead with love. Ego-driven leadership is fragile. It is based on insecurity disguised as confidence. Leaders who operate from ego are always protecting themselves, protecting their image, protecting their position, protecting their pride. They see others as threats instead of allies. They take credit instead of giving it. They focus on proving they are the best instead of bringing out the best in those around them. And because of this, they fail. They push people away. They create environments filled with fear, stress, and competition instead of trust, passion, and collaboration. Their teams do not perform at their highest level because they are too afraid to take risks, too afraid to make mistakes, too afraid to challenge the status quo. Love-based leadership is unshakable. It is not weak. It is not soft. It is the highest level of strength. To lead with love means to put the mission above personal pride, to put people above personal gain, to make decisions based on what is right rather than what is easy. It means building others up, empowering them, and giving them the confidence to step into their own greatness. A true leader is not threatened by the success of others. They celebrate it. They do not hoard power, they share it. They do not demand respect, they earn it through consistent actions, through integrity, through a relentless commitment to something greater than themselves. Love-based leadership creates teams that are unstoppable. When people feel valued, when they feel heard, when they know their leader genuinely cares about them, they give more than they ever thought possible. They bring energy, passion, and dedication to their work. They go the extra mile not because they have to, but because they want to. They are not just working for a paycheck, a title, or an obligation. They are working for a purpose, for a vision, for something that matters. And that is where true success happens. Not in forcing people to perform, but in inspiring them to give their best because they believe in what they are doing. Leading with love does not mean avoiding difficult decisions. It does not mean accepting mediocrity. It does not mean allowing weakness. It means pushing people to become their best, but doing it in a way that builds them up instead of tearing them down. It means holding people accountable, but from a place of belief in their potential rather than judgment of their mistakes. It means creating a culture where people feel safe to grow, to challenge themselves, to fail and learn and come back stronger. Ego will always demand to be in control. It will always try to lead from fear, from pride, from the need to be seen as powerful. But the greatest leaders recognize that ego is the enemy of true impact. They understand that the real goal of leadership is not personal success, but collective success. It is not about being the best, it is about bringing out the best in those around them. When a leader operates from love instead of ego, they create something that lasts. They build teams, organizations, and movements that do not just succeed in the short term, but thrive for generations. Conclusion: true leadership is not found in titles, wealth, or external validation. It is cultivated within. It is built through purpose, faith, service, energy, resilience, discipline, and love. Every great leader, every person who has left a lasting impact on the world, has understood that leadership is not about power, it is about responsibility. It is about showing up every single day with a commitment to something greater than oneself. It is about leading with conviction, inspiring others to rise, and creating a legacy that extends far beyond personal success. The foundation of leadership begins with purpose. Without purpose, actions lack meaning and motivation fades. Purpose fuels persistence, keeps the fire burning in the face of adversity, and gives a leader the strength to keep pushing forward when challenges arise. Purpose is not found, it is created. It is a decision, a commitment to a cause, a vision that is bigger than personal gain. And when a leader operates with an unshakable purpose, they inspire those around them to find their own. Faith is the antidote to fear. Every leader faces moments of doubt, moments when everything seems uncertain, when the weight of responsibility feels too heavy to carry. The difference between those who crumble and those who rise is faith. Faith in themselves, faith in their vision, faith in the process. Fear paralyzes, it keeps people stuck in hesitation, afraid to take action, afraid to fail. But faith is what turns obstacles into stepping stones, setbacks into lessons, and struggles into opportunities for growth. Service is the highest calling of leadership. Leadership is not about elevating oneself. It is about lifting others. The greatest leaders do not seek to be served, they seek to serve. They understand that their role is not to demand loyalty, but to earn it through their actions. They create environments where people feel valued, empowered, and capable of achieving greatness. A leader's true success is not measured by their own achievements, but by the success of those they have guided, mentored, and inspired. Energy is everything. Leadership is not just about knowledge, skills, or strategies. It is about presence. It is about the energy a leader brings into every room, every conversation, every challenge. People do not follow words, they follow energy. A leader's passion, confidence, and certainty set the tone for those around them. When a leader radiates strength and belief, it spreads. But when they bring hesitation, doubt, or negativity, that spreads too. Energy is a choice, and the strongest leaders take control of it. Adversity is not a barrier, it is a builder. The greatest leaders have all faced setbacks, failures, and moments of doubt, but they did not allow adversity to break them. They used it to become stronger, sharper, and more resilient. Challenges do not stop a true leader, they shape them. They reveal character, test commitment, and create the strength needed to rise to the next level. Discipline and daily rituals are what separate those who dream from those who achieve. Talent means nothing without consistency. Motivation fades, but discipline remains. The strongest leaders do not rely on emotions to determine their actions. They rely on habits, rituals, and non-negotiable standards that keep them moving forward no matter what. Success is not about one big moment. It is built in the small, consistent actions repeated every single day. Love, not ego, is the foundation of leadership that lasts. Ego-driven leaders seek power, control, and recognition, but their influence is temporary. Love-driven leaders seek to build, empower, and elevate, and their impact lasts for generations. True leadership is not about being the best, it is about bringing out the best in others. It is about making decisions not from a place of pride, but from a place of purpose, service, and genuine care. At its core, leadership is not something a person is born with, it is something they choose. It is a daily commitment to growth, resilience, and contribution. It is the willingness to step up, take responsibility, and lead by example. The world does not need more people chasing power. It needs more people willing to serve, to inspire, and to transform the lives of those around them. That is the mark of a true leader.